Well, concerns are mounting over former President Joe Biden's use of an autopen to sign documents such as executive orders and even the pardons he issued before leaving office. For those who don't know, autopen signatures are ones that are automatically produced by a machine. Now, they copy the person who they're imitating, but that's what it is. It's an imitation, you see, as opposed to being authentic handwritten signatures. Well, President Trump and many experts are suggesting that the Biden pardons may now be challenged in light of the disclosures of the autopen being used. Here with me to discuss this, the chair at the Constitutional Rights PAC, Larry Ward. Larry, nice to see you today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about this. I've talked to some different attorney friends of mine, and they said, look, in this day and age, the autopen gets used by governors and people make contracts on email and so forth, but there's a lot of concern about the autopen if the president, for example, didn't know that he was authorizing something, which would be a fair question in Joe Biden's case. Is the autopen legitimate? That's the question.
That is a good question. It is going to be a high bar for the Trump team to mount evidence to actually pull these executive orders back, pull these pardons back. I think there's a case, and I think they should go forward because just the disclosure alone will tell us a lot. Because let's be honest, the Biden wasn't making any decisions himself. I mean, you can go back to the president when he was actually signing himself. If you remember when he was signing the executive orders, I think it was one of the last times he did it on television because he said, well, what is this I'm signing? I don't know what I'm signing. And they had to tell him what he was signing. So even when he was there, he wasn't really there, right? So there are lots of legitimate questions. And where did they get this idea to have basically a brain dead president sign all of these executive orders? Well, they got this idea from communist Russia, from the USSR, because there was a guy named Lev Kamenev who was an aide of then founder of the USSR, Vladimir Lenin, and Vladimir Lenin suffered a whole bunch of strokes towards the end of his life, and was a lot of people believed was completely a vegetable, and Lev just took his hand and moved around the paper. I don't know if he kept his hand straight and moved the paper underneath him or moved his hand to sign whatever he needed to sign. So that's where they got the idea. That's where the Democrats get most of their ideas, is from communists.
Well, some truth to that. I think the first time that it happened in modern American history was 2011 with Barack Obama, and it was challenged. But they said because he had authorized it, he's fully aware of it, it was legal. It was constitutional. Okay, so we can debate that a little bit. But if the president is unaware, and you have to go back to the report that said that Joe Biden was basically a likable elderly man with a poor memory, did he have the capacity to issue the directive to say, go ahead, yes, use the autopen, sign my name to it? We also know that Mike Johnson asked him about liquid natural gas deliveries to Europe and elsewhere. He said, I never signed that. And they had to show him, yes, you did. Here it is. Clearly demonstrating again, Larry, that he was not in command of his faculties, didn't know what he was signing or not signing for that matter. But one of my attorney friends said this: the problem you face is how do you prove it? How long does it take? And at some point, you just end up being stuck with it because it's taken too long to remedy. What do you say to that?
The pardons are something different because the pardons actually give legal cover for basically their entire life for that period of time. So it's not just an executive order that Trump could easily just overturn. The pardons are something that there is an actual, real life consequence over time if they were really pardoned by the president, or if they were pardoned by his staff. Like, you got to remember everything that the president said. How many times did he say he was going to get in trouble by his staff? How many times did he say, I've been fired, or he was too
many to count.
Too many to count. It's obvious that he wasn't of his faculties. The one thing about the Mike Johnson story that really rings true in terms of evidence is, I believe that executive order that he signed, he actually undid it the next day, on the energy one. So when he actually saw it, he took action and made it the other way. So there you go. Look at that one particular and say, hey, what was the circumstances around this executive order being signed by autopen?
I also read today, and I think that you might have seen this as well, that one of the sentences that was commuted, one of the commutations handed down by Joe Biden to a drug dealer, to a cocaine dealer, I believe in Florida, this guy, just rearrested, maybe it was Alabama, just rearrested for a series of drug crimes, including cocaine. I wonder if he ever visited the White House and lost something on his stroll through. It makes a guy wonder why a guy would get a commutation who's a lifelong drug dealer, and now he's back in jail because he is a drug dealer. It just makes you wonder about all these things, and I don't know how much can be corrected, Larry, if any of it. But that's not the way we're supposed to do things, which is why maybe Donald Trump was out there every time he signs an executive order, which he's going to do here in 40 minutes or so on a new one on the Department of Education. He will do it in public in front of the whole world, won't he?
And he'll explain it. And he has such a grasp of what he's signing. And it's exactly how, our system should work. I mean, you should actually have to be able to speak about and communicate the orders and the laws that you're signing into law. That's the way it should work. And not have all of these auto pens and have everything be done in the dark of night on a Friday evening when nobody else is paying attention. Maybe one way to fix this in the future, because I hate when the government always says, hey, it was incompetence, here's how we fix it in the future, and they forget about the crime that was committed. We can't forget about the issue, but there is a way to fix it in the future. There's biometrics everywhere. Make the president of the United States use his fingerprint, use his face ID. There's ways to ensure that the president is aware on that particular document that they are signing it or using the auto pen.
I guess my last question, Larry, real quick. Do you expect some of these pardons for sure to be legally challenged at this point based on what we know? I'll give you the last word.
I hope they are legally challenged, if not for anything else other than let's get to the bottom of what happened in the Biden administration. Let's get the disclosure. Let's bring this thing forward so that the American people can find out exactly what happened in the Biden administration. Do I think that they'll win? Probably not.
Probably not. That's kind of where I come down, sadly. But at least you have to do the right thing. Whether you're going to win or lose, have integrity, challenge those signatures, do the right thing. Larry Ward, greatly appreciate you being here as always.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
All right, up after the break. To combat the drug cartels, the Pentagon has deployed an American destroyer to assist with America's military presence on the border with Mexico. That's a big deal. We'll talk about it after the break.